Controlled initially by Morgan. Danny Cipriani over the top. Oh, sharples! Danny Cipriani weaving Kingsholm spells already.
Look at this wonderful ball off the top. That's the advantage of the pass from Stringer. It gives Cipriani the time to do that.
Cipriani's found the gap. It was always going to be there.
There is Wayne stepping and finding Cipriani.
But they recycle. Watch Cipriani's eyes. Goes the other way. It's not looking. Roberts reads it.
Danny Cipriani could be the most talented player in English rugby history. Despite that, he had a short international career, and many fans and analysts alike believe that Cipriani never lived up to his potential. So why is that the case, and how did it go wrong for Danny Cipriani? As always, before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for the recent support on the videos. Honestly, without you guys, none of this would be possible. And so without further ado, let's go. Born in Wimbledon, Danny Cipriani spent the majority of his childhood playing sports. He had plenty of opportunities as a youngster while attending Donhead Prep School. It was during this time that he eventually moved to Whitgift School in Croydon. As well as being a spectacular rugby prospect, Cipriani received academy offers in football and cricket as well. But it was clear that Cipriani was a talented rugby player, and he joined the Academy of London Wasps in 2003. At 16 years old, he was an academy player who looked set to break into the first team at a very early age. That promotion came just 1 year later, when Cipriani would make his first team debut. Impressively, at just 21 years old, Cipriani became a crucial part of the superstar-filled Wasps team. He was playing so well at such a young age that Cipriani was able to make his England debut just a year after making his Wasps debut. But things never really worked out for Cipriani. After a couple of injury-hit seasons, Cipriani decided to put his England career on pause. He took a surprise move to the Melbourne Rebels in Australia, becoming the first English player to play for an Australian Super Rugby side. With England having a policy about not picking players based in other countries, Cipriani became ineligible for selection for the 2011 Rugby World Cup. It was strange to see a kid with so much talent be completely absent from England's team for years. If you watch clips of Danny Cipriani highlights from his first few years at Wasps, his talent is blatantly obvious. In a game based on discipline and physicality, Cipriani used his creativity and touch to create gaps in attack that no one else could see. He was a truly special player. So why did his career falter so early on? As well as being supremely talented, the youngster was also very talented in getting himself into trouble off the field. Not long after breaking into the international team, Cipriani had a training bust-up with one of his teammates. In fact, even at the start of his international career, Cipriani was putting that career in jeopardy. His international debut showed off his flair and talent, but Cipriani was dropped for the next game, after he was photographed leaving a nightclub 2 days before the game. That's not the sort of impression you want to give when you're a 21-year-old trying to break into the England team. The injuries that Cipriani suffered also led to him missing time with England, and eventually contributed to his initial move to the Rebels. Just before the move, Cipriani made headlines by training with various football clubs and even receiving a couple of professional offers to switch sports. During his time in Australia, the off-the-field issues didn't stop. He stole a bottle of vodka from behind a bar and was left out of the Reds tour of South Africa due to his off-the-field behaviour. After a few years in the Southern Hemisphere, Cipriani returned to England in 2012. Having been linked with numerous clubs, he signed a 3-year deal with Sale Sharks. It was clear what Cipriani's ambitions were with the move. When he signed, Sharks chief executive Steve Diamond said Cipriani was aiming to be England's #1 fly half by the 2015 World Cup. It was shocking for a player like Cipriani to need to get his career on track. He was England's Young Player of the Year in 2008, and now was just aiming to get back into the side. His performances with Sale were once again excellent, as he aimed to get back into the England team. But his return didn't stop the off-the-field incidents. Cipriani was hit by a double-decker bus while on an end-of-season night out with Sale in 2013. He avoided major injuries miraculously and had another impressive year with Sale, and as a result, he was back in the England team in 2014. Cipriani was called into the team for England's tour of New Zealand. It was going to be a tough return for Cipriani, as his place as a young and exciting England fly half had been taken by Owen Farrell. But he still made his return to the side in the first test, coming off the bench for the final 10 minutes. He starred in England's win over the Crusaders on that tour and once again came off the bench in the final test, but couldn't do enough to change the result. While he was in the squad for the 2015 Six Nations, Cipriani featured sparingly. His return to the England team clearly didn't impress the coaches, as Cipriani was left out of the squad for the 2015 Rugby World Cup. This decision came just a few months after Cipriani was arrested for drunk driving after a collision with a taxi at 5 AM. England disappointed massively at the 2015 World Cup, crashing out in the pool stages until they brought in a brand new head coach in Eddie Jones. The former Japan head coach was clearly not a fan of Cipriani, as he was left out of the England squad for the 2016 Six Nations. Cipriani knew something had to change, and so he left to go back to London Wasps for a couple of seasons, before a move to Gloucester. During this time, Cipriani seemed to be finding his form. His performances in the Premiership were excellent for both clubs, and his injury record was much better. He led Wasps to a Premiership final in 2017, although they fell short in extra time to the Exeter Chiefs. An impressive following season led to Cipriani returning to the England team in 2018, when they toured South Africa. He started the final game of that series, which England won, but his off-the-field issues once again stopped this performance from leading to more chances. This time, Cipriani was arrested after assaulting a bouncer in a club in Jersey. It turned out that due in part to this incident, that test match against the Springboks would be Cipriani's final appearance in an England jersey. He played brilliantly with Gloucester in the years following, with many fans believing he deserved a place in the England team after being named Premiership Rugby Player of the Year for the 2018-19 season. He was included in the training squad for the 2019 Rugby World Cup, but was dropped before the tournament. By this point, he was approaching his mid-30s, and it looked like Cipriani's career was coming to an end. He played a single season for Bath before confirming his retirement from the game in January of 2024. At the time he was breaking through, Danny Cipriani was seen as the second coming of the great Johnny Wilkinson. Cipriani was a new breed of rugby player, an incredible athlete who had the touch and accuracy of a Formula One driver. It looked like a certainty that he would be England's fly half for the next decade, and yet retired with just a handful of starts. 16 caps is certainly a disappointment for the former England men's Young Player of the Year. That will be particularly upsetting for Cipriani when those caps came in 3 different periods of his career. He was never able to seal down a place in the England team. While plenty is documented about his behaviour, not all of the career disappointment is down to Cipriani himself. Injuries plagued his career, including a fractured ankle and a fractured fibula, all within the space of just 18 months. Towards the end of his career, Cipriani faced a head coach who was clearly not a fan of him. Jones was very focused on Cipriani's actions off the field, and that often led to disagreements between the two. Even when the Gloucester fly half was named the best player in the Premiership, it wasn't enough to get him back into the England team. It also didn't help that in the years when Cipriani was playing his rugby away from England, the national team found a pair of exceptional fly halves in Owen Farrell and George Ford. So while the curious case of Danny Cipriani is about more than just his off-the-field issues, there's no doubt his questionable behaviour was a massive factor in Cipriani's disappointing career. Every time he looked on the cusp of greatness, something away from the pitch took the headlines. He had a lot going on off the pitch, and that didn't combine well with the fact that Cipriani's defence was often brought into question. It's just such a shame that Danny Cipriani never lived up to the incredible potential he showed on that England debut. What do you think about Danny Cipriani? Put your thoughts in the comments down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. As always, thanks for the recent support on the videos. With that all said and done, it's been your boy John Talks Rugby, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click on screen to see how the top 14 French League is taking over rugby. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.